It's time. It's finally time. Dragon Games. Yes, Dragon Games, arguably Ever After High's biggest event. This is a huge fan favorite. I've gotten tons of comments asking me to get to Dragon Games, and now I finally have. It's no wonder this movie is so beloved by fans of the series. The characters, the plots, the outfits, and most importantly to me, the dragons.
Oh my fairy godmother, this is exciting!
I love dragons. I love them. I love them so much. Look, this is my big dragon. I call him Cauldron. He fell one time, so he broke his wing. This is my small dragon. Her name is Crystal. These are my teeny tiny dragons. This is my dragon calendar. I love dragons. And Ever After High does the thing I love most about dragons: befriending them. So often in video games or movies, the dragon is an enemy that the heroes need to kill. Boo! No, I want to ride the dragons. I want them to be my big magical friends. But for real, the story's twists and turns are more dramatic than ever before, really leaning hard into the Rebels versus Royals plotline. And best of all, it focuses on our two main girls, Raven and Apple. I love the whole cast of Ever After High, but if I'm honest, Apple and Raven have felt more and more pushed into the background. Yeah, they always play major roles in the end, but the emotional focus has been on other characters. From Ashlyn with True Hearts Day, to Briar with Throne Coming, to Kitty with Spring Unsprung, to Lizzie with Way to Wonderland. All the big specials have focused on the other characters, but it's finally Apple and Raven's turn. We're gonna have a lot to cover in this one, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive into the world of Ever After High. We start things off already cool by remembering that Raven has control of her magical abilities.
Raven was finally mastering her magic.
When she got her evil queen powers at the end of Way to Wonderland, I honestly thought they would just quietly forget about this plot point. After all, Raven's magical antics is a classic and easy way to introduce fun shenanigans for the episodes, so I'm glad they chose to keep with this continuity.
Hi, Raven! I'm so late. You know who was gonna have an epic meltdown.
Visiting Day. The day Raven gets to see her mother in her mirror prison.
So if you've read the books, you'd understand better what's happening here. Raven's mother, the evil queen, who I'm just gonna call Evelyn, so I don't have to keep saying evil queen for the whole review, is imprisoned in a mirror. We've established this much already with the prior specials, but what they haven't shown is that Raven actually gets to regularly visit her mother by visiting a specific magical mirror. If you haven't read the book, you might be startled to learn that Raven actually sees this big evil presence much more frequently than what the show implies.
Nevermore!
Similarly, Nevermore, Raven's pet dragon, was also a book exclusive before this special. In the books, when the kids get to school, they all get a special pet from the Enchanted Forest, because kids love pets, and if your doll has a pet, you can sell a little accessory to go with them. I admit, Monster High was way more on top of this idea than Ever After High ever was. Apple had a snow fox named Gala, Briar had a unicorn named Divacorn. There's lots of different pets. I've considered doing a ranking video of everyone's pets, so let me know if you'd like to see that. Anyways, Raven's pet was a dragon named Nevermore, who has the ability to change sizes. I do really like seeing the show adopting more concepts from the books. I really love the books. There's a lot of cool explorations of different lore and characters with them.
Have you been a bad girl? Well, I know you've been using your powers for good, helping others.
We got a pretty good look at Evelyn in Way to Wonderland, but she really gets a glow up here. Not only can we see the details in her outfit a lot better, but also the fade with the shading effect on her face is a lot more detailed.
I never want to be like you! I want to choose my own happily ever after! God! Hit the glass, Raven! Nice try, Mom. You want me to break the mirror.
Ah yes, magical mirror prisons. Absolutely impervious from the inside, yet all it'll take to free her is to break some glass on the outside. Holly and Poppy both get to play big roles in this movie. Yeah! It was just Holly in Spring Unsprung, then it was just Poppy in Season 3's Forest Fest story. Finally, both of the O'Hares. Yeah! We suddenly transition to something very unexpected. Apple's mother.
The one and only, the Snow White.
I've said it before, I love getting to see the kids as parents. I like seeing how Ever After High has decided to characterize these classic fairy tales. We don't usually just get to see them though, and I was pretty surprised when we just suddenly get to drop in on Snow White herself. We actually set up an important theme here. Raven talks to her mother through the mirror, and Apple talks to her mother through her mirror phone. It's called Parallels in Storytelling. Both mothers want Raven to embrace her side of villainy, and both daughters are opposed to the idea. The mothers have selfish reasons behind their actions, Evelyn wanting to be free from her prison, and Snow wants Apple to be more popular. Raven shows steadfast determination to oppose her mother, but in doing so reveals the dark side that dwells inside of her. Apple is more hesitant, wanting to support her friend, but also clearly still trying to be loyal to her mother. Oh, Apple. Things are just getting started for your character when it comes to questionable decisions. Fun fact, the game Apple is playing was an actual game you used to be able to play back when Ever After High still had its own website. Cute detail. Also, she's doing amazingly. Look at that score! Evelyn discovers Apple's doubts and lures her to her mirror prison. I guess the mirror prison isn't so impervious after all if she can make whole illusions and teleportation portals from within it. Groom Brothers. Madam Yaga, you goofed up. Should have picked a different prison.
Dishonor! Dishonor on your whole family!
Tell me your troubles. I can't talk to you.
Jonquil Good, who I hope I pronounced her name right, Apple's voice actress, does an amazing job with this line. She's amazing in the whole series, but this one especially really impresses me.
I thought maybe you were like your mother. Your mother embraced her fairy tale destiny.
And I am like my mother, and my destiny is mine!
Oh, I f***ed up.
Yes, Apple breaks the mirror and frees Evelyn, and now's a good time to discuss this direction for Apple's character, because her reaction to this chain of events is not amazing.
I'm sorry, I need to go. You're good, right? Bad. I can't help you.
So, does this ruin Apple's character? A lot of discussion around Ever After High, especially about Apple, is how this film is a big leap backwards for her. And I agree. She's freed the most evil person in all the world, and her reaction is rather dismissive. What's worse is Evelyn convinced Apple to work with her, otherwise she'll tell everyone Apple was the reason she is free, and Apple's response is rather selfish.
Can't just walk into school and talk to Raven. What happens when somebody recognizes you? I'll get in trouble and...
She will get in trouble? I don't know. You just released the biggest villain in the universe. I think everyone will be in trouble here. My biggest gripe with this movie is it's happening way too late in Ever After High's story progression. This premise would have worked really, really well hot off the heels of the first season, back in Legacy Day where Apple cared more about getting the destiny she wants, even if it means Raven will suffer for it. These actions from her would make a lot more sense if she hadn't have seen how much the evil queen hurt the ones she cares about. Apple has personally seen the effects of the evil queen stealing the storybook of legends. Apple has seen the curse on Wonderland personally. Lizzie, Maddie, and Kitty are her friends. She knows how they've been uprooted because of the evil queen's curse. Apple knows how bad the evil queen is, and her response to freeing her is...
You're good, right? Bad. I can't help you.
No! This is season 1 Apple's actions, not here in the middle of season 3. I was willing to forgive her for breaking the mirror in her frustrated outburst. Evelyn already proved earlier with Raven that she's very good at getting under people's skin, but I was so disappointed to see Apple's character devolve like this. Evelyn decides she needs to disguise herself in order to hide in Ever After High, and she transforms, calling herself Mira Shard. I'ma be real, Mira looks amazing. This is one of the best designs in the whole dang show. The black and white patterns, the detailed headpiece, she's gorgeous. So Evelyn attends school with Apple, going by the name Mira Shard, and I like that nobody questions her about what her fairy tale story is. It could be that knowing the other kids' legacies isn't actually all that important for others to learn about, or the more fun option, they're all just assuming they know what her story is. If I didn't know any better, I'd guess Mira Shard was the daughter of Bloody Mary, which, you know, I think technically she could be considered a monster instead of a fairy tale, but Bloody Mary was in Wolf Among Us, so screw it, that's what I'm going with. We see a little montage of Mira trying to be close with Raven, and also trying to persuade her to do more villainous actions, all to varying degrees of success. Holly and Poppy, who've become very interested in dragon care and maintenance lately, end up losing Nevermore, and the girls go to find her, leading them to the Dragon Games arena.
They say Snow White and the Evil Queen were the greatest dragon game captains ever after. Dragon games sound wicked.
It does! It so does! They find Nevermore, but also stumble upon Daring and his dragon, Legend. Yeah, I was totally wrong before. When Daring got his license to fly dragons back in Way 2 Wonderland, I said this dragon doesn't come back. I totally didn't even realize it was the same dragon here. Anyways, Legend is clearly going through something, and the girls reveal that Legend is actually about to give birth. She has a whole batch of eggs, and Raven tries to use a spell to help incubate them, though Mira intervenes and adds a bit too much heat. Half of the batch is cooked over easy and come out like perfect little Technicolor cuties, but the other half end up like burnt scrambled eggs and come out evil. I'm gonna comment on the dragons later, but for now, all of Ever After High has dragon fever over the new hatchlings.
Why, you wicked old thing. Welcome back.
I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh? Snow, just like Apple, also isn't too torn up about Evelyn being freed from her mirror prison. Ladies, you gotta care about this a lot more. You had more pep in your step learning your daughter's high school popularity was lower than usual. An evil queen has escaped a magical prison. Come on, Snow, get your head in the game. No, instead, Snow sees this as an opportunity to make Apple and herself look better. As a Dragon Games enthusiast, Snow White returns to Ever After High to put the games back on with the new hatchlings. And also, if you're gonna be riding dragons, you need proper dragon rider attire. Yeah, new outfits! I won't go over everyone's designs all at once. I'll instead scatter my thoughts throughout the review. So it's time for our first round of... I'm glad Holly and Poppy were the first ones in the new outfits. They were the first characters to express how they wanted dragon-resistant armor to help them with their new dragon grooming stuff. Tying up Holly's hair and also letting Poppy's hair go wild is a cool change of pace for the two. I like the leaf patterns in Holly's accessories a bit more, especially her shoes, but both girls really pop, especially with their color palettes. Though I have to admit, Holly's outfit, while being more fantastical with its gold embroidery, doesn't really feel as protective as armor should. The actual clothes feel rather casual, just being a tank top with jeans. Holly's is more fashion, while Poppy's is more function. Okay, back to the review.
I must admit, this was not my idea. My daughter, Apple.
Why did you say it was my idea when it wasn't?
Sometimes you've got to pull out all the stops and use your resources to get your fairy tale back on track.
Mira was right. We are different.
Of course, Snow sees right through Evelyn's disguise and reveals herself as the true villainess she is.
I am reformed. Why, what fun we could have had together.
But rather than imprisoning her again, Snow lets her competitive side win and agrees to a competition. The two older ladies will each coach a team of dragon riders against each other. I do like how Evelyn isn't the only one doing wrong things. The whole point of Ever After High was that both sides had merit. Understanding each other's perspectives is key to the show's messages, and that gets reflected here with the moms. Yeah, it's easy to make the evil queen the villain, but Snow Snow isn't all sunshine and roses either. She lies, she manipulates, she is willing to do things that are wrong, like potentially endangering all of the students of the school, just to try to give her and her daughter a bit more glory. Raven, and, Darling too, I guess, don't want to participate in this tournament because they don't agree with the idea of just letting Evelyn go free just for this.
Nope. No thanks. No thank you.
Snow's not totally ignorant though. She does have a special handheld mirror that can zap things back into the mirror realm in an instant, just in case things go too poorly with Evelyn. Oh, look at that! The Dragon Games sign-up sheet. Let's see who's on here. Darling? What? Why? Why did you leave with Raven just to run up and put your name second on the sign-up sheet? I have a strong moral compass. I cannot stand idly by in support of this dangerous decision to let the evil queen walk free. Oh, that makes sense. But I also can't let someone who's unfit for dragon riding take a place on such an important event. Oh, so does that mean? But I can't support the evil queen's participation here. Darling, are you even listening to me? Oh, but I know dragon riding isn't for the faint of heart. I can't let someone who's inexperienced get hurt. I'm just gonna go. You can do your thing if you want to. Suddenly, Fabelle's in this story. She actually plays a pretty major role in the long run for the plot, so it's odd we didn't even get a hint of her before now.
What do you want? The truth.
I want to be like you.
Kinda similar to Apple, this character turn does feel a little odd. Fabelle's Choice, the episode in season 3 where Fabelle has a change of heart and helps the heroes, aired in July of 2015. Dragon Games came out in January of 2016. Though I'm a bit more forgiving of Fabelle's character regression here than I am about Apple's. Fabelle's one act of kindness was pretty minor. She revels in being a villain, so I think it makes sense she'd jump at the chance to work for a true legendary villain like Evelyn. Oh, Poppy wraps herself up in Holly's hair like it's a blanket. It's too cute!
How will I get my...
You're happily ever after. Yes, my dear, I've not forgotten you.
Oh, I almost did, Apple. I've been busy pointing out how Snow's been dropping the ball here, but don't think you're off the hook, though I do admit you've been pretty apprehensive about this whole thing. Maybe you have learned your lesson.
Also, my mom has the booking glass, and she's just looking for an excuse to use it.
As if things couldn't get much worse, Evelyn recruits Apple to be the captain of her dragon team. Snow, meanwhile, chooses Darling to be her captain. You know, Apple, I was opposed to the idea of the evil queen even being here. What? Oh, okay, darling. But I also knew that the side of good would need competent, dedicated students like me to help them achieve victory over the villains. Darling, leave me alone, please. I won't let you villains win, no matter how good you look in that dragon rider armor. Darling, seriously, wait, what? Evelyn's team is Apple, Ashlyn, Melody, and Maddie, while Snow's team is Darling, Holly, Poppy, and Lizzie. Evelyn kidnaps Nevermore to do a dragon riding presentation, and you know what? It's time for another. Evelyn's dragon armor is just her normal clothes, but with pants instead of a skirt. It's a bit meh. Snow, on the other hand, is much cooler. Full plate armor and a matching crown, very stylish, while still looking appropriately sturdy. While we're here, let's cover some of the students too. Since Holly and Poppy are both on Snow's team, let's do two characters from Evelyn's side. Maddie looks so good, right? The low-hanging style for her hair is the cutest thing that she's ever done. How can she keep getting away with it? Every alt outfit she gets is cuter and cuter. How does she do it? Her armor pieces have a bit of a bronze color, which is a nice muted shade compared to her other much more saturated clothing choices. I wish her neck piece wasn't this neon yellow though. I think white would have looked fine and matched the rest of the outfit better. Melody's hair is also surprisingly dang stylish here. The ponytail is a cool change of pace, and surprisingly, I think the Monster Energy drink-esque yellow-green color for her outfit works really well. The rest of her look, ranging from black to darker purples, makes the bright lime color pop. And it's a bold color choice none of the other girls have. Also, her earrings are bananas and are super cool. Alright, back to the story.
See the floating jewels above the stadium? They determine the number of points a goal is worth.
Thank you, Blondie. You're gonna get an A in exposition telling class. The queens demonstrate what a typical dragon game looks like. Meanwhile, Fabelle is tasked with stealing Snow's magic mirror. A complicated stealth mission. This could take hours with careful planning. How will Fabelle handle...
I haven't seen a vision this Spellbinding.
Perfect.
You did it, Faybelle! It was so easy! Won't Evelyn be so proud of you?
Oh, hey, you dropped this. Or was this her mirror? I have plenty.
Faybelle, no! Well, it looks like all that excitement was too much for poor Nevermore. Little thing, I think it's kind of annoying that none of the other students seem to care about the well-being of Nevermore. They could see her, they could see that this dragon doesn't look good, they could see that Raven is clearly worried. I could assume it's just they're too wrapped up in their own excitement of their own dragons, but come on guys, that's your friend. Be better friends. I'd expect at least Maddie to notice. As Raven rescues her fiery little friend, the other students walk their own dragons onto the field to practice. If you're a fan of Ever After High, you'll recognize this song as the opening for the 4th season, when they updated things from their classic one. It's a pretty great song, though all of the songs from Ever After High are very catchy earworms. Anyways, Faybelle spikes the dragon's food with a potion that'll make them grow into adults instantly, so now the girls can carry out a proper dragon game. A lot of this special has been various methods of expediting dragon growth. I'm not complaining, seeing dragons hatch is part of the fun, and riding on fully grown dragons is the other part of the fun. I just find it interesting, and they handled it a whole heck of a lot better than Aragon did. Who remembers that disasteroid? I think now is a good time to introduce all the different dragons the girls are riding. Apple's dragon is called Brayburn. It's a type of apple. I know, very creative. If you're a fan of My Little Pony, you probably recognize that as the name of Applejack's racist cousin. Brayburn can shoot electricity, though I don't think she ever actually does this in the show. Melody's dragon is named DJ. She has a sort of sonic boom breath thing. Maddie's dragon is named Crumpets and has cotton candy breath, arguably the weirdest dragon ability out of the bunch.
Oh! Cotton candy? Oh, yum-de-dum!
Oh, Maddie, don't eat that. Ugh. Poppy's dragon is Bushfire, and Holly's is named Prince of Scales. The two can both do fire and ice breath, though it seems like they can only do one element each simultaneously. Like, if one of them is breathing fire, the other one can only breathe ice at the same time. Does that make sense? I think that's super cool and so underutilized in this special. Lastly, there's Darling's dragon, Hero Wing, who also breathes ice. I guess they ran out of unique ideas by the time they got to her. In general, I like the dragon's designs. The color combos are unique, and I especially love the detailed horns they have. But I'm not super in love with the pattern they have on the inside of their wings. It's just a bit much, in my opinion.
Y'all ready for this?
Raven, ever the supportive friend, shows back up to watch the match. Aw, how nice of her. Oh, but it looks like Apple is taking the competition a little too seriously. How not very nice of her. In fact...
Remember, any means necessary.
So Darling is too hurt to play, and earlier Lizzie, like, snapped her ankle or something trying to walk Prince of Scales too. So it looks like Snow White's team is gonna have to surrender.
Light will have to play with a new rider.
Hooray! Hooray? Raven has joined the team.
Have it. I'm not playing any games anymore.
Or not, I guess. Yeah, she joins the team, and Apple tries to goad her into following her destiny as the evil queen, and Raven, like, immediately ditches the others. Like, no joke, she was only on the dragon team for 2 minutes before leaving.
At least my mom will be proud of me.
Apple, I swear to God, I am this close to going full blast on you right now. Last warning, young lady.
I summon forth uncontrollable fire!
Oh no, it wasn't a hooray moment! All the students think Raven intentionally burned down the school, which I'm gonna say, crazy thing of them to think. Like, they should know Raven by now.
Capture the evil queen! Looking for this?
Unfortunately, Daring, who's reached peak obliviousness here, accidentally traps himself in the mirror dimension instead. All the while, Fable has been sucking the souls out of the faculty members and trapping them inside the bodies of small animals, so the evil queen can control their lifeless bodies to do her bidding. So all in all, things are not looking great. Gee, Snow, it's almost like you should have taken the evil queen's escape more seriously or something.
Why do my actions have consequences?
So remember how Snow's plan was to make herself look better by beating the evil queen in the dragon games? Well, that backfires big time. The evil queen is able to clean up quote-unquote Raven's mess in an instant thanks to her magic. So it's actually Evelyn who walks away looking like the better person. The irony! Or maybe it's karma. Whatever, one of them. Uh-oh, this can't end well. Look at how dramatic the lighting is here. This scene's gonna really be a big one, huh?
Broke out of that mirror prison and literally walked across broken glass just to be with you. How could you know that? It was you? You released my mother?
You caught me red-handed.
Unsurprisingly, Raven is not super thrilled with Apple's decisions, even with Apple's persistence that the evil queen isn't that bad, trust me, I promise. She's just so obviously lost in the sauce.
Can't be on both sides. Good or evil. Pick one.
It's not just Apple getting put through the ringer. Evelyn saw right through Snow's attempted vanity boost when it came to putting on the dragon games. Evelyn steals Snow White's soul to take over her body. She has successfully taken over the school as headmistress and is now ready to take over the whole fairy tale kingdom as Snow White's puppeteer. Raven's sick of people thinking she caused the fire and asks Darling to help her find a place to escape to. Fable overhears and thinks this is her chance to really impress Evelyn. Everyone rolls up to help Raven out, and you know what? Now's a good time for another. Accessories look really nice. The teal gems in her earrings and armband is a really cool compliment for the rest of her ensemble, though I admit I'm not a fan of this look as a whole. She's wearing the least amount of armor compared to all the other girls, making her look really underprotected. I'm also not in love with the long coattail she has. It seems like a superfluous add-on that wouldn't even be all that visible while riding her dragon. If anything, it'd just get in the way. And the rose accessory on her belt is very cute, but doesn't really match the theme or color scheme of the rest of her look. In universe, she's one of the ones who designed these outfits too. You'd think she would have gotten her own outfit a lot better. We'll tackle the other in-universe designer now too. Lizzie. She looks phenomenal. The updo for her hair is really cool and different than her usual style. The heart-shaped face paint detail is a really nice touch. I think she has the coolest designed shoes out of the whole bunch. Look at these heels! Crazy! Black, gold, and red is Lizzie's typical color combo, but it looks really good together. And I think adding that splash of emerald green actually works really well to add some new flair to the design. Though I do have to admit, just like Ashlyn, Lizzie isn't very armored in this design. In fact, it might actually be less protective than Ashlyn's was. No wonder she snapped her ankle earlier. To interrupt the review a little bit for a second, it's a shame Lizzie didn't get a doll for this design. Yeah, in fact, Maddie, Melody, and Ashlyn didn't get dolls either. It was only Raven, Apple, the O'Hare twins, Darling, and Mira Shard got a doll too. And actually, out of all of them, only Apple's doll came with a dragon toy. And that sucks because, well, I think you can notice right away that Apple's doll is not wearing the same outfit she wears in the show. Doll Apple looks so boring. It makes no sense. The point of the show is to help sell the dolls. Well then, 1, why didn't half of the cool new designs get to be made into dolls? 2, why did one of the characters who did become a doll not even get the awesome outfit she gets from the show? And 3, if it's a dragon line, why didn't everyone else get their dragons with their dolls? Heck, Brayburn doesn't even look right with this doll. What is wrong with his wings? They're like see-through. Like there's no fabric there. You can't fly. What is this? A lot of people point to Disney's Descendants as being the main reason why Ever After High ended up getting cancelled. And while I do think that was the major problem with it, I think we can't ignore Mattel's own buffoonish decisions when it came to their own actual doll productions. Like if you're selling dolls, Sell the dolls! What are you doing? Anyways, back to the story. Oh no, Fabel was too busy getting coffee and missed her big chance to stop Raven. Fabel, come on, you'll never pass general villainy if you can't handle being a lackey. You gotta go get some extra credit after class. Now that Raven's not in the school anymore, Evelyn decides she can go all out and take complete control of things.
Dad! Come on, help me get him free!
Haha! I love my daughters.
Alright, bit of a weird time to introduce this brand new character. These specials usually will sprinkle in new characters here or there to help set them up a little bit before the new season, but this one was just really weirdly timed, I'm not gonna lie. I'll get into my thoughts about Ramona Badwolf in another video though. We're a bit busy dealing with the school apocalypse right now.
A woodland pixie!
No, Ashlyn, that is not the reaction you should have to finding a random child hiding in a bush. So, the pixies. I don't really like their designs much. Their combo of humanoid features with animal traits slapped on is a little uncanny valley. Hell, these things got dolls, but not most of the actual girls from the story. Well, actually, it seems like these pixie designs acted as a prototype for what would eventually become Mattel's Enchantimals series. They even launched with a deer character, a bunny character, and a bird character, just like the pixies.
She knows you're hurt, darling.
Wow, I hate that that's what your voices sound like. Nightmare fuel. Why? No.
Has anyone seen my brother daring lately? It's not like him to misplace his hand mirror.
Let me in. Let me in.
Everything went wrong! This is not how I thought high school would be!
Oh my god, Apple, I warned you! What a surprise! Siding with the biggest villain in the history of your world was a mistake. Who could have seen this one coming? I thought you were smart, but I guess this one just stumped you, huh? Stop your crying. This is your mess and you know it. Don't throw a pity party now. In my first few videos, I would talk about how both Apple and Raven were in the right and were in the wrong with the story. Two sides of the same coin. However, I got a lot of comments from people expressing how they cannot forgive Apple. They hate Apple, and this is why. This whole movie is the reason why Apple's entire reputation has permanently tanked for many viewers. It's a complete regression for her character. Makes her look like a gullible idiot, and worst of all, she acts so selfish and single-minded about the whole thing. She only cares about her own happily ever after, and she won't shut up about it throughout the whole movie. Any sort of compassion she previously had has been thrown out the window. She doesn't give Raven's happiness a second thought, and has never even considered how the Evil Queen's release will have an impact on the others around her. Boo-hoo. This isn't what you thought high school would be like? Yeah, well, I bet none of the other students really thought it would be like this too. Now all of your friends are stuck in Evelyn's prison, and it's all your fault. And you can't look past you and your own stupid happily ever after. And worst of all, as we see moving forward, we won't really actually ever address this problem with Apple. We've seen several villains across the story of Ever After High, but none of them has felt so selfish and inconsiderate as Apple does here.
One bite out of this, and you'll enter the next phase of your fairy tale.
Oh dang. I know I was ranting about her, but I don't want this to happen. I guess technically Evelyn kept her word. It was obvious that Evelyn didn't actually care about helping Apple get her happily ever after. She was just manipulating her. But by entering her enchanted sleep, that would technically mean Apple would be out cold until her Prince Charming came to wake her up, which would technically be her getting her happily ever after. Before she can make up her mind though, Evelyn launches Apple from the school, all as a part of the next stage of her plan, following Apple to find Raven.
Raven!
Apple.
I'm sorry. I was selfish. Your mom hasn't changed. I had. I believe we can all have our happily ever afters, but not until we stop your mom.
And we will, my friend.
Real talk, Raven forgives Apple way too easily, especially for such a weak-ass apology that was. You know what? While we have some downtime, let's wrap up the Darling's outfit. I'm conflicted about it. She's the only character who actually looks less armored than usual, though I imagine this sort of armor would be better suited for flexibility needed for writing. For the most part, I think it's cute. I actually like how she lets her hair down here, but I really just don't vibe with the large, gaudy red gems. They seem more haphazardly strewn about. If there were just less of them, I think it would have worked out just fine, especially with her headpiece. At least the red pattern on her leggings does a really nice job balancing the color throughout the design. I like Raven's design. The patterns with her top and leggings remind me of like those old rainbow scratch toys or those color-in felt posters. I don't know if kids still have these things. They were really big in the early 2000s. Anyways, it's surprisingly not as busy as you'd think, and I think the armor layered over the pattern is what's helping that out. Here, Raven really shines through her accessories. The chains, the studs, the tiny dragon earrings, oh my god, yes. Also, having her hair up in this high ponytail is super cute. I actually prefer this to her usual style. Last, we have Apple. And honestly, this is the worst one. I hate this, and I promise it's not just because of how horrible Apple's been in the special personality-wise. There's just so much wrong here. Where do I begin? This is a tube top. The only thing protecting the whole of your chest is this giant necklace she's wearing. Gemstones are not armor, and Apple is covered in them. Her crown is especially silly looking because of this. Everyone else put their tiaras aside and wore practical headwear, except for Apple. She rolled up with a giant gem-encrusted crown with super large pearl strings that just distract me and feel like they'd get in her way. Like, they just obscure her face, weirdly. Why? The pattern on her dress is just basically the same thing she always wears, and despite being one of the more armored designs out of the bunch, the style of her armor is so tacky looking. The large plates and bands feel unfinished and cumbersome. And then the worst thing, those god-awful shoes. What the heckendorf are you freaking thinking? The brown leather clashes with the palette of the outfit, the dragon head design for the back of the heels feel like an afterthought, the 50 different straps coiling up her legs are so stupid and goofy looking. Terrible. A terrible, no good design. No wonder they ditched this one when making your doll, okay? That was the last of the new outfits. Now, back to the story.
If we plan to face the evil queen, we need to nourish ourselves.
Faybelle slips the poisoned apple into their food, and finally, Apple gets to fulfill her destiny. It's honestly crazy how much detail and effort is poured into this moment. They change Faybelle's eyes into these devilish pinpricks with a wide, wicked smile, and the animation of the pitch black poison leaking out of the apple is on screen for seconds, but they go all out with the fluidity of it. I already always love how Ever After High is animated, but it's these extra moments of intensity that really pushes it above and beyond. Things go from bad to worse now that Apple has entered her enchanted sleep, but also, Faybelle attacks the Pixie's den with the Dark Dragons. And you know, now's a good time to bring up my thoughts on the Dark Dragons. Remember, I mentioned them before? Let's do that now. I'm disappointed they don't have more distinct abilities between them, and that they all have really similar color palettes too. Like, I get it, they're not characterized in the story, they're essentially just pawns for the Evil Queen's plans, but the good dragons came in a really fun assortment of colors with a bunch of different unique abilities, and I think it would have been a nice touch if the darker dragons did too. Like, they can stay in dark color ranges, like blacks and dark purples, dark blues, etc, etc. At the very least, their accent colors got to really stand out, so that's cool. But we only ever see them breathing fire, if anything. We could have played around with this a little bit more. Like, it could have been a cool parallel to the girls' dragons' abilities. They could do something simple like ice breath, but what about something crazy like acid breath? Long story short, I just really like dragons, and I would have liked to see more dragons doing cool dragon things, because I like dragons. So Apple's in her enchanted sleep, and unfortunately, none of the girls know that Daring is still trapped in the mirror dimension, so there seems to be nothing they can do to wake her up. And Raven, honestly, has a really, really emotionally powerful moment.
You apologized to me, but I never got a chance to apologize to you. As soon as I realized I didn't want to play my part, I should have run to a place where nobody has even heard of the Evil Queen, or Snow White, or even fairy tales.
Not gonna lie, this whole scene is really well done. My abridged description from this review couldn't ever really show the emotion with the characters and their performances. In case it wasn't obvious, I do highly recommend watching Ever After High yourself. At the very least, watch Dragon Games. It's the most loved special for a reason. But I will admit, the scene ends in a sort of abrupt and not amazingly well written way.
Only the right kiss will set her free. Daring. Daring! That's where you've been!
Don't look at me!
So, like, I get she was showing Raven Daring's mirror to signify daring for their conversation, but it's all just awfully convenient. From here, the conflict turns into Daring being briefly nervous about getting his own happily ever after so suddenly, and the girls trying to use the mirror themselves to trap the queen. This new twist for the conflict is fine, but it feels like we solved the conflict of Daring being trapped without any sort of fanfare. It's just awfully convenient and not a very satisfying way to wrap up this plot point. Surprise! A bunch of other kids also escaped, apparently. Hey, you four. Yeah, you new kids who get new dolls next season. Make sure you all pose together. Perfect.
Baba Yaga said the booking glass is shielded by dark fairy magic.
Well, isn't that oddly specific? And there's only one dark fairy in the whole school. I wonder what's going to happen.
I took care of everything. How about a little evil credit over here?
None of this would be happening without my brilliant planning.
Ooh, it's a mystery. Real talk though, I'm totally on board with Fabel realizing Evelyn wasn't worth working for. I just wish we got to set this up a little bit sooner. Just like with the fact the booking glass is guarded by fairy magic, and just like Daring popping out of the mirror suddenly. I wish these various things that all suddenly happen in the last of 4 parts got a little bit better setup and establishment beforehand. It sort of makes it feel like this 4th and final part of the special is speedrunning excuses to wrap up the story. All it really would have taken would be 1 or 2 moments of dialogue beforehand to set up the stuff properly. Have Snow mention the booking glass as fairy magic when she shows it to Apple. Have Fabel be disappointed in Evelyn's lack of appreciation after she succeeds in capturing her teachers. Just little things, because the way it is now makes it feel very weirdly rushed.
After. Happily ever after. I'm not the Prince of Destiny. I'm not her Prince Charming.
So, let's talk about this. If Daring isn't Apple's Prince Charming, why did her destiny show her with Daring during Legacy Day? Well, there's a couple of different theories we could work with here. 1, this isn't Apple's true enchanted sleep, and so the prince's kiss doesn't work the way it's supposed to. This is the weakest theory, in my opinion. Not to jump ahead in the story, but Apple will be awoken by a magical kiss. So then, the idea that the kissing element is still what breaks this curse, but for some reason it doesn't work with the guy who's supposed to be her prince, it all just doesn't add up. 2, we don't see who kisses Apple in her Legacy Day page. Technically, we just see her asleep, and then we see her standing next to Daring. Perhaps she, Grim, Daring, and everyone else just assumed this meant Daring was the prince who was supposed to kiss her, but he could be standing next to her because they're just friends. Or Daring isn't the prince who breaks her curse, but she ends up marrying him in the end anyways. This one could work, but I'm still not sold. Because we have 3, and this is the one I'm most inclined to believe. It was all just a lie. Remember, this book is not the real storybook of Legends. It was a disguised book Milton Grimm made to hide the fact the real Book of Legends had been hidden by Evelyn. Whatever magic Grimm used to emulate the storybook of Legends might have just gotten the fairy tales wrong. Grimm might have just assumed Daring was supposed to be her prince and used him as a placeholder. I think this theory makes the most sense. Because, I know the real reason is just that Mattel hadn't thought of this part of the story yet. This is technically a retcon, but theories are so much more fun than just accepting the world of retcons, don't you think? Anyways, Raven's pissed and has a plan. Surprise! The evil queen is announcing that she's leaving Ever After High. In fact, she's leaving the whole kingdom because Raven has agreed to join her. Oh god, Evelyn, what the hell did you put her in? This outfit is horrible. What are you, a toddlers and tiaras mom? Well, she is evil, so wouldn't surprise me.
What land shall we take over first? Conquer and rule over Gingerbread Land, the land of the giants!
Those all sound great, Mom.
They do sound great. Boy oh boy, I sure hope we get to see these cool lands in some sort of episode or special in the future. That sure would be cool, and a much better choice than other things. Fabel, pissed that Evelyn only cared about Raven the whole time and not her, ditches the duo.
You know what? I'm gonna go. This. You guys. Everything. I am done.
Oh my god, Apple's not breathing. Somebody do something. And thus, Ever After High's best ship was born. Apple X Darling Forever, 100%. I don't know if it was obvious earlier. I actually do want to comment on this for a second. This was sort of a big deal at the time. Mattel wasn't exactly brimming with queer representation. In fact, the original creator of Monster High wanted Claudine to be a lesbian character, but Mattel shot down the idea because it wasn't the right time. Sure. So this brief moment was way bigger than anyone would have guessed we'd see from Mattel. Even then, Apple and Darling don't even really get a chance to actually bond here. Apple wakes up and assumes it was Daring, and then they get sidetracked with Raven leaving and the plot and stuff. It's a small moment in the long run, but even then, it ends up meaning a whole lot to a lot of people. I wasn't kidding. Apple X Darling is easily one of the most popular ships for the show. Anyways, I guess I'll get back to the story now.
1, 2, 3, 4. That booking glass is locked no more.
I cannot tell you how in love I am with her headbang. I think about this cheer way more often than you might realize. I love Fabel. She's so fun. Raven refuses to kill Snow and the teachers, and Evelyn traps her in Nevermore, just as the others show up. So it looks like it's gonna be a dragon battle!
Yeah!
Real talk, look at how freaking gorgeous the clouds are. This extra level of quality really amps things up for the finale here. This really feels like a huge, important moment for the series. And then the dragon fight begins and it's amazing. I had a lot of praise for Cornley and Raven's big magic fight at the end of Way 2 Wonderland, and while it's great, it's also painfully short. Ever After High isn't exactly a show that has a lot of magical duels and grand battles and stuff. I honestly didn't expect much from the dragons fight here, but boy howdy I was so wrong. They go all out. People diving in and out to distract all the dark dragons, unique twists and turns with the characters' personalities.
Use the fire extinguisher. Not exactly what I had in mind.
There's a sense of speed and strength with the dragons as they do their different abilities. Honestly, this is the most badass Ever After High will ever be. Nothing else this show has ever done will ever outmatch how unabashedly cool and over the top this sequence is.
Capture the evil... No!
Butterfingers.
Raven's here to save the day! Raven and Apple team up and Evelyn tries one last time to convince Apple to turn to the dark side.
Without me, you'll never get your happily ever after. Face it, you don't have a choice.
Yes, I do! We all have a choice.
Be gone, fuck!
Oh, when they play the theme song again, yeah, it's so good. I love the show. Oh my god, that was so cool. Everything calms down. The evil queen's spell has been broken. Hey, is that one of the dark dragons? Just sitting around being a good boy? Wait, could the dark dragons have just been trained to be good the whole time? Things are back to normal. The evil queen is back in her mirror prison, and the dragon games have returned to Ever After High. So I guess it's happily ever after. At least for now. So, dragon games. It's a lot. Honestly, the story we cover and the way it ends could have been the finale of the whole series. They tackle the big question of choosing destiny and Raven and Apple's specific roles in it. We see Apple carry out her destiny, being poisoned and awoken with a Charming's kiss. We see the evil queen, the biggest, baddest villain they've been building up from the very beginning, make her dramatic return, and meet her downfall at the hands of our two main leads. In the beginning, I talked about how Apple's actions would have made more sense if this was done earlier in the show's story. But the way things wrapped in the end makes me understand why they held back on this plotline until now. Apple's uncharacteristic regression is a weird stain on this special, and the ending does feel like an odd combo of rushed and convenient. But beyond those elements, they tackle some really fun things. The dragons are a super cool addition to the world of Ever After High. Daring now has a new plotline of not knowing his destiny anymore. It was really cool seeing both of our main characters' famous mothers and the interesting duality of their relationships with their daughters. All in all, it's a really fun one, and a big highlight of Ever After High as a series. And honestly, I'm glad they got this last big hurrah. Ever After High was starting to really struggle from this point. We're quickly approaching the end of this Ever After High series of reviews. This special aired in January of 2016. The show would go on a hiatus until April, where season 4 would start. In the middle of season 4, there was one last Ever After High special, Epic Winter. So that special will be next on our list of Ever After High reviews. I'll see you next time to watch the story continue to unfold.
Apple! You get poisoned for what, like a week?
What's down?
Up. What's up?
What's up, new friend?
How do you do, fellow kids?
Why are you switching sides?
Look, I'm just going to be super pissed if you all finally decide to give up the moment I switch sides.
To a place where nobody has even heard of the Evil Queen or Snow White.
I don't think there is such a place, unless maybe wherever monsters come from or something. But who ever heard of a Monster High?
Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classy Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Isaiah, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Holly, Boy Howdy Boy, Jacob, Ben Sketchbook, Rain, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Twisty, Juan, Bunkin Duncan, Lycan99, Hoodie Angel, Ranger, Hut Mutt Butt, Cloudy Days, The Enigma, C1 Trooper, Sean, Primo Rune, Steve, and Overhypin'. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. Big, long review that I've been so excited to get to for so long. What do you think of Ever After High Dragon games? I talk about so many things, and there's so many thoughts and opinions you could have about the stuff I say, and about the review in general, and the show in general. Who's your favorite outfit? Like, who do you think has the best to worst Dragon Rider outfit? What do you think about the dolls? Did you ever have the Dragon Games dolls? Was the dragon a cool toy to have? Because I wouldn't think so. Any and all thoughts and opinions. There's so much going on, and we have only a little bit left of Ever After High, so anything you have to say about the series, I would love to see it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.